your foxy writer, Brandy Ackerley, coming to you with the next installment of my Hunter's Gambit read-along. Now, before we jump into the meat and bones of the episode, though, I want to direct you all to a cool little thing. Back in 2019, I was on a When Words Collide panel called Awakening to Social Sensitivity. They got our permission to record it, but I'd honestly forgotten that they had. Today they finally posted it, and I was kind of blown away. It's an awesome discussion where we're talking about being sensitive about the cultures you write and negotiating the minefield of how to write with sensitivity and when not to write that story. Oh, the others I was on the panel with were all really smart, and they said great things. If you're interested in writing, or you just want to spend some extra time with me this week, go and take a listen. I've put the link in the description for you, okay? Okay. Continuing this week, I will be reading chapter 11, which means that next week we will be taking a break from the read-along. We haven't gotten a lot of comments, but I'm going to be checking to see if there's enough to put together a show about it for next week. If not, I may take the week off. I'll see. I have some dental surgery later today, so I may need the week off anyways for that. Listen Friday for all of the details. I'll try and make certain I let you know then, okay? At any rate, I hope you've all been enjoying the read-along. Oh, I've definitely been loving reading it for everyone out there. Now, on last week's episode, Kazunaha went to Talford's store to start making purchases for their trip. Deckard found out that she was going to be headed out of town with a stranger against her sister's orders, and disapproved heavily of Kazunaha's decision. And now, on with the story. Okay, now, let me just pull up the book here. And that should be perfect. Kazunaha, we need to talk. The words were in Xiangu, the language that their father had insisted that they speak at home. Since he died, they'd used it less and less. Kazunaha stopped going through her clothes and looked towards the door. Himiko was there, wearing a traditional Xiangu outfit. Black, wide pleated pants, with a long red shirt with black accents that called dragons to mind, all in silk. It was a mirror to the green version her father had worn. Her sister was probably hoping to invoke the ghost of their father, praying that it would make Kazunaha more pliable. Himiko had never paid attention to their heritage lessons the way that Kazunaha had, or she would have known that Kazunaha could never be moved that way. Kazunaha put the shirt that she'd been holding back into her closet. She wouldn't let Himiko scare her, but there was no point in antagonizing her before they even began. She gave her sister a small bow. Yes, Himiko? I spoke with Deckard today. He told me you were thinking about leaving town. I hadn't put that much stock in it, since you and he are hardly on good terms. Yet here I find you, packing. Damn, Deckard. He had stayed out of her life since they'd broken up. Now he wanted to get involved? Had he stayed out of it, Kazunaha could have waited until everything was ready to go, and she was heading out of the city with Richard, but her sister couldn't do anything to stop her. Richard requires a guide for the area. He has hired me, she answered coolly. I forbade it. Did you forget? Himiko growled. No. Then why are you still going forward with this? Himiko had entered the room and towered over Kazunaha, trying to use her half-a-foot height intimidatingly. It wouldn't work. Kazunaha had always been the shortest one of the family. Her lack of height didn't make her afraid. It made her want to fight harder. I've accepted the job. I'm not giving it up. He isn't noble. You can't work for him. That was Father's rule, not actual law, Himiko. Even if everyone in town did seem to think it was. She tried to go against his wishes once, and had found the stablemaster tentatively willing. Her father had threatened to destroy the stables when he found out that she'd taken a job mucking out stalls in exchange for riding lessons. Since then, nobody had been willing to break that rule, even after her father had died. I can work for who I want, as long as they'll hire me. He did. Her sister's eyes went wide, and her face turned a blotchy red. Kazunaha, I am trying to do what's best for you. He's dangerous, a murderer. It's bad enough that you had him in our house. I'm not going to let you go harrying off into the forest with him. You're only annoyed that he had breakfast here. It's not like I brought him up to my room, Kazunaha said. If Kazunaha had more time to think about that, she wouldn't have said it. She liked sex, but her father had always been more traditional. Peasants could sleep with whomever they wished. Nobles or those brought up from a noble house shouldn't. Kazunaha thought that Himiko shared her outlook, but she'd come down on her hard for it lately, ever since her sister had decided that she needed to act like a proper family matriarch would. Yet another thing she did that failed to live up to her sister's ever-rising standards. Himiko covered her eyes with her hands and ground her teeth. Perhaps I would have preferred that. My maple syrup stock wouldn't have been almost gone then. Kazunaha blinked at the argument. She hadn't expected Himiko to notice that Richard had some, let alone bring it up. Apparently, Kazunaha wasn't the only one feeling petty tonight. It's not like he's eating us out of house and home, Himiko. Not with one meal. She bit her tongue to prevent making a comment about serving steak and eggs the next time he came over. If she pushed too hard, Himiko would find some way to retaliate. Himiko massaged her forehead. Forget about the maple syrup. It isn't important. Kazunaha, that man is dangerous. This isn't a permanent job, Kazunaha said. It's a short-term thing. We'll be buying supplies and then we'll be gone for a few weeks. That's it. You could be working for the family. All you would have to do is ask. Kazunaha almost snorted. She'd tried that once before, too. Tim had offered her a job working as a lowly clerk. She wasn't going to bring that up today. Choose your battles, someone wise had said. Himiko, father trained me for one position only. So unless you're leaving the family business to me, I don't have a position here. You know, I never wanted this. I wanted to own a bar, maybe with a few rooms for guests and a decent-sized kitchen, Himiko muttered under her breath. If being an innkeeper was Himiko's dream, she should sell the company to Kazunaha and buy one. She was certain that she hadn't hidden the sentiment well enough when her sister growled at her. Dad left it to me, Kazunaha. There are other things you can do. Name one, Kazunaha challenged. Himiko narrowed her eyes, but didn't answer. As the silence started dragging, Himiko flushed. Just let me talk with Tim, and we'll find a spot. Never, Kazunaha spat. Her father had raised her hopes over and over, promising her that she would be more than her sister, better in every way, if she just worked for it. His death had shattered her hopes. She was nothing but a spare, and it was Himiko who had been named heir in his will. The only thing Kazunaha had received was a weekly dividend from the house, whether she worked or not. Well, Kazunaha would prove him wrong, and Himiko wrong. She would make something great of herself, and she would do it without Himiko's help. Then choose something else, something that isn't him, Himiko growled. Father said that you should consider marrying for the family. Maybe I can find you a husband. Then you could be his problem. Kazunaha had wanted to marry once. Part of her still wanted a husband and child one day. But if anything could break her, a loveless marriage of convenience would be it. She didn't even try to warm her tone. I don't care what future he wanted. That won't be mine. You can't be a child forever, Kazunaha. One day you'll have to accept that you have a familial duty to uphold, Himiko said. To accept any of it would mean accepting all of it. She refused. Pushing past her sister, Kazunaha ran to the one person who might understand what she needed right now. Ah, I'd forgotten just how quick this chapter was. Let me just put the book away here. And perfect. I'll be honest. After the last 2 chapters of long, drawn-out discussions filled with business and shady dealings, pancakes and disappointments, it's good to jump right back into a faster chapter, even if it's one detailing an argument between Kazunaha and her sister. Now, if you've gotten to this part, then I thank you. If you like what I'm doing here, please remember to like the video, and you can also share or subscribe to show it some love. I'll be accepting comments to add into the comments show up to this Saturday. That's July 11th, 2021. As I mentioned before, I'll be letting you know on Friday what the plan is for next week, since I should have a better idea about how many comments and show stats I actually have to share by then. As always, thank you so much for your support, and I will see you on Friday.